Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a pretty gosh darned exciting new Meganium card. This has been revealed over officially in Japan. This is coming out as part of the Sun and Moon 8 expansion, which means it will be part of our Lost Thunder set. So yay for that. And I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this helps you cheat the rules of evolution. And cards that help you cheat the rules of evolution, historically, pretty gosh darn nice. Now compare that to Meganium, and although Meganium Prime was kind of fun, historically Meganium cards have not been particularly good. Take this one from Breakpoint, that only a mother could love. Well, the good news is, ladies and gentlemen, this new Meganium, oh my goodness, so much more lovable. Now, in terms of the HP here, it is slightly low. We would expect Stage 2s to have 160 with something like Empoleon, but it's not the end of the world. We can live with 10 HP less, just so long as the card itself is good enough. Retreat cost of 2 is really kind of awkward because Escape Board will not give you free retreat post-rotation. And the weakness to fire is fine, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, look, we've got the new Victinis coming, both of which will be pretty good against this, and both of which can work nicely with counter energy. Outside of that, you really don't need to be worried about fire Pokemon here. Ho-Oh's getting a one-hit KO anyway, so the weakness here, I'm honestly not particularly worried about it. As for being a grass Pokemon, the good news is we're going to have Life Forest Prism Star, which allows you once per turn to have a Pokemon Center Lady, heal 60 and all special conditions, and so actually, I'm kind of liking this. So what does it actually do? Well, it's the ability that really stands out to us here. Now, the translation here comes from the lovely Antoine Boulay. The lovely David Hockman is currently over in Nashville translating for the World Championships because he speaks English, Japanese, and German. Very clever man. So I told Antoine that, and he has stepped up and been our translator, and I love him for it. Although actually I should say 2new1223 actually gave the translation and Antoine confirmed that it was in fact correct. They're both very clever people, so this is the translation. And what it says is, once during your turn, choose one of your basic Pokemon in play. If you have a Stage 2 card in your hand that evolves from that Pokemon, put that card onto the basic Pokemon to evolve it. This is really good. Now, we're going to talk about all the implications of this in just a moment, but one very, very important thing before we start. It does not say this breaks the rules of evolution. So if we look at something like a Wally, for instance, which does let us break the rules of evolution, what Wally specifically says on the card is, you can play this card during your first turn, or on a Pokemon that was put into play this turn. It specifically mentions that it breaks the rules of evolution. Similarly, Forest of Giant Plants, which has since been banned, each player's grass Pokemon can evolve during his or her first turn, or the turn he or she plays those Pokemon. It is a hard and fast rule that you can only evolve once a Pokemon has been on the field for a turn, and any card that goes against this rule specifically says so. Because Meganium does not specifically say so, we can assume for the moment that you cannot just play a basic and then evolve it. You have to wait for a turn. If that is different, we will receive an official ruling, or it will say so on the card. That makes the card not 100% over the top broken, and it would be kind of Forest of Giant Plants broken if you could just go basic Stage 2, boom, but it still is a great card. You can't evolve the turn you play the basic, but it's still a great card. Think about it this way. It means that you can rare candy without playing a rare candy. It means that you basically always assume you have a rare candy in hand. This is basically like an ability which is a permanent rare candy. You don't need to play rare candy. You don't need to find it in your deck. You don't need to worry about how many rare candy you've used. You don't even need to find the space in your deck. There are so many advantages. Although ironically you might need to play rare candy to get Meganium out. But among the advantages are, you don't need to play rare candy in your deck. You don't need to find rare candy. You don't need to have rare candy and stage 2 in hand at the same time, which is always an awkward thing with stage 2 decks. And you don't need to discard the rare candy. Because let's think about something like Garbodor. Garbodor does an extra 20 damage for each item card in your discard pile. Garbodor would love it if you were just playing 4 rare candies. So not only do you not need to search and use the rare candy here, but you actually take 20 damage away from Garbodor in the process, which is ludicrously fun and awesome and great. This is brilliant in stage 2 decks. Now, it's a little bit awkward because it's kind of, you need to get this out. Once you get this out, your stage 2 deck works amazingly. And let's be super clear about something. You can see, even if we didn't have 2 very intelligent chaps giving us the translation, and we do, you can see in the wording there's no energy symbol. So this isn't for grass decks, and let's face it, for grass decks we've got the Grovyle, who has the same ability as the old Gabite, in that you can just search for a grass Pokemon during your turn. This is for any deck. If you can get yourself a Meganium out, then you've got all the rare candy you will ever need from now until the end of the game. And this is an evolved non-GX Pokemon. The only way to turn this off in the new meta we're going to have post-rotation is if slacking is in the active. Maybe you even use this for slacking, but that is literally the only way to get rid of this ability, which is awesome. Now don't get me wrong, some decks like Sceptile GX are just not going to play this, because they're not going to be rare candy decks. Sceptile GX is going to use Grovyle and set up in the same way that the old Garchomp used to set up with the old Gabite. Fine. But in any other stage 2 deck, this becomes a consideration. The ridiculous Incineroar GX I showed you yesterday, yeah, that will like this quite a bit. The problem is, it's a stage 2 itself. Once you've got Meganium down, all your other stage 2s have all the rare candies that they need. But you've got to get Meganium down. And what do? Do you play a fat Meganium line? Because that takes a lot of space in your deck. Do you play rare candy? Because Meganium's kind of, well, it stops you playing rare candy. So, what if your opponent Guzmas and KOs your only Chikorita? And here's my issue with Meganium. As much as I love the ability, it's a very unique ability that I don't remember seeing before. Certainly one we haven't had for a while at least. And it's super useful to get all your stage 2s going. But before you get your other stage 2 going, you've got to get this stage 2 going. And I worry that that's going to be too awkward to actually get rolling. Maybe you really go all in and you play Volkner, which is a supporter that can search out a rare candy, and you can Tapu Lele for a Volkner for a rare candy, and then you're off and rolling. But I just think this might be a little bit too awkward. If you can get this working, Meganium hits the field and you have a huge advantage, because one of the awkward things about stage 2s is just getting that rare candy in stage 2 at the same time, or taking the extra turn. This makes stage 2s as difficult to get out as stage 1s. And we all know that we don't worry about getting stage 1s out. Once Meganium is on the field, it's broken. Getting it on the field is my worry. Now, as for the attack, grass-free, colourless, 110 damage. I mean, look, if you're hitting for weakness, it will KO stuff like Lycanroc. And once you had a choice band with weakness, you would be going up to 280, which will KO anything. There are some non-GXs like Tapu Koko and Latias you will be KOing. But there's plenty of others like Latias Prism Star that you won't. So honestly, the attack here, way too overpriced. I don't want to speak any more about it. I adore this ability, but it is on a stage 2, and that's going to be an issue that's going to have to be overcome before you can really take this card seriously. But regardless, I'm going to be giving this between 3 and 4 Wassies. There is so much potential here that we have got to take a good hard look at this, because it could be so much fun. And it's one of those cards, kind of like the old Reuniclus. You just know that at some point someone's going to make it amazing, even though it should be a little bit too awkward. And at that stage, they're just going to wreck with it. But I want to know what you think about Meganium, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but do remember the rule, please, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.